So my name is Maggie Steingraber. I am an English language fellow. I am based here in Lima, Peru, working primarily with the Ministry of Education. All right. So then with that, we will begin with today's presentation. Our presenter is Roger. He is an English teacher at the High Performance High School in Peru. Roger, are you there?
Hello.
Hi,
Hi.
Roger.
Oh, good to hear you.
Yeah, it's good to hear you too. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're going to be talking about today?
Yeah, of course. My name is Roger Aguirre. I'm an English teacher. I work for COAR La Libertad in Peru, which is an hour drive from Trujillo, and I'm here to share an interesting topic with my colleagues.
Perfect.
Okay. Shall I start?
Yes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to my presentation. Today, we're going to talk about how to use authentic materials to learn and teach English. You know, that's my name, Roger Aguirre. As I told you, I work for COAR La Libertad in Trujillo. Okay, so as I told you, I've been talking about how to use authentic materials to learn and to teach English. We're going to discuss this question first. These are the questions. What are authentic materials in English language teaching? There are 4 options, and you have to choose only one. The first one is materials that were carefully prepared for English language teaching, and the other option is real-world resources that were adapted to teach English, and the third one, real things that were not designed for teaching purposes, and the last option is all of the above. Okay, so you have to go through the quick poll and choose only one answer. This is the question number 1. The second question is, which of the following are authentic materials? So these are examples. The first group is English dictionaries, grammar books, or graded readers. The second group, newspapers, recipes, films, novels.
All right. We'll do one at a time. So first we have the authentic materials question up
Okay.
that says what are authentic materials in English language teaching?
Yeah.
So again, just like the poll that we did before, you guys can, as the audience, can vote on which of these 4 options you think is the correct answer. Materials that are carefully prepared for teaching, real-world resources that were adapted to teach English, real-world things that are not designed for teaching purposes, or all of the above. So we have about 40% of the people have responded. Oh, now it's up to 60. That was fast. 70, all right. All right, 75. So we'll leave it open for just another couple seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last chance. And we'll close it and share results. So, Roger, I'm not sure if you can see the results, but 0% of the people said materials that were carefully prepared for teaching. 22% of the people said real-world resources that were adapted to teach English. 44% thinks it's real things that were not designed for teaching purposes. And 33% said all of the above.
Okay, so we're on the good way. Real things that were not designed for teaching purposes. Okay, now the next question.
Okay, this is which of the following are authentic materials?
There are 4 groups. The first group, English dictionaries, grammar books, graded readers. And the second group, newspapers, recipes, films, novels. The third group, English course, CD-ROMs, pronunciation manuals. And the last one, none of the above.
Okay, so the poll is up. Well, people are very fast to vote on this one. About half the people have gotten their votes in. All right, we're at 70%. All right, 80%. We'll leave it open now for just another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and close. And I'll share the results. So we have 9% said English dictionaries, grammar books, and graded readers. 91% says newspapers, recipes, films, novels. and 0% for the remaining two.
Mm-hmm. All right, good answers. Good job. Okay, yes, newspapers, recipes, films, and novels. Okay, let's start this topic by reading some concepts about authentic materials. What are authentic materials in English language teaching? According to Hammer, those are materials which are designed for native speakers. They are real text designed not for language students, but for the speakers of the language. Martinez in 2002 says, materials which are prepared for native speakers and not designed to be used for teaching purposes. So as a conclusion, we can say that authentic materials are those which are designed for native speakers and not prepared for pedagogical purposes. Okay, so now we know, we're familiar with this definition. Okay, now look at these pictures and tick the examples of authentic materials based on what we have read. Now, I guess you agree with me, because these are examples of authentic materials. We have the documentary by the National Geographic Channel, a TV commercial, a novel, then newspaper, film, recipes, social networking sites, magazines, and menus. Those are considered authentic materials. And what are the advantages of using authentic materials? The first advantage has to do with real language. Authentic materials expose learners to the real language, because one type of language is taught in the classroom and another kind of language is spoken outside. So we're using the language for real purpose. And the other is the natural model. Authentic material expose rich language input, so students become better readers and listeners. And motivation. Authentic materials have a positive effect on learners' motivation and also the culture. They not only provide information about the language, but also authentic cultural information. And the other advantage has to do with needs and interests. They are more related to learners' needs. They will become more interested in real topics. And then for teachers, creative teaching. Authentic materials support a more creative approach to teaching. And what benefits can teachers get from using authentic materials? You know, authentic materials improve teachers. Authentic materials improve our language skills, our linguistic knowledge, our intercultural understanding, and our approach to teaching. This will help us a lot, because the more we learn, the better we teach. We can say that authentic materials provide us with great opportunities to learn ourselves, and then we can use them to teach English. And what benefits can learners get from using authentic materials? We know that authentic materials improve learners' input. It has to do with listening and reading skill. If they have a rich input, they will be able to train their listening and reading skills, which is the input. If they have a rich input, they will speak and write much better. This is called the output. So there is a connection between input and output. And what benefits can you get from using authentic materials as a teacher and as a student? Okay, authentic materials help us to bridge the gap between the classroom and the outside world. Okay, as I told you, one type of language is taught in the classroom, but when students go to the real world, they won't understand anything, because they are accustomed to using the language that is only spoken in the classroom. So if we use authentic materials, students are exposed to use the real language, the language that is used in the outside world. Another benefit is authentic materials help us to enhance grammar knowledge. We learn a lot about grammar, and we boost our vocabulary, we improve our pronunciation, we also improve intercultural understanding. It's not only that we know more about the language, grammar, and vocabulary, we also learn more about the culture. And of course, for teachers, we have more ideas to improve our teachings, and we have a more creative approach to teaching. Are there any disadvantages of using authentic materials? Yes, some authors claim that authentic materials with lower level classes or weak learners frustrate and demotivate them because they lack the required skills and vocabulary. They also say that authentic materials may contain difficult vocabulary and complex grammar structures, which need more effort to be simplified and explained. And for the teacher, of course, authentic materials add a burden on teachers as they have to make them appropriate for their learners. Others say that authentic materials may be too culturally biased. It means that, for example, when we learn something, we focus on only one type of culture, and sometimes we forget other cultures as well. Authentic materials may contain too many structures which are mixed, causing lower levels have a hard time decoding the text. So these are the disadvantages. Disadvantages have to do with the level of complexity of grammar and vocabulary. And how can we deal with the possible disadvantages of using authentic materials? There are some ideas. First, we need to choose our material carefully, considering our learners' age and level. If our students are beginner, we have to choose those materials which goes according to our students' level. And then we must select engaging topics according to the learner's interests. Yeah, if they're a teenager, we must select topics that are appealing to them. Then we should plan activities that provide necessary pedagogical support. Then we should grade the task based on learners' level. Okay, if we're using authentic material, we cannot adapt, we cannot grade the material, but we can grade the task based on our students' level. Then we should consider including different types of tasks and types of input. For example, when they read a newspaper, there's a lot of information, but we should select type of activities that are according to our students' level. What types of tasks are there? There are three types: receptive, productive, and language. Here are some strategies which are suggested, for example, for listening. Listening for gist, listening for specific information, and reading. Students can use these strategies like skimming, scanning, looking at the text organization, paraphrasing topic sentences. And tasks related to productive skills, for example, speaking and writing. In speaking, students can discuss issues arising from the text. They can role play based on the scenario. When they write, they can use articles as a model. They can respond in writing. Other types of tasks are related to the language: grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, discourse analysis. When and or at which level can we use authentic materials? Although some scholars state that authentic materials can be used with intermediate or advanced level learners only, we can suggest using them from the very beginning and at any level. But we need to bear in mind our students' level. Otherwise, if authentic materials are beyond their ability, this will discourage them from learning. We can use authentic materials only with one condition. if authentic materials are used in the classroom in the same context that they were designed for in the real world. And a text can only be authentic in the context for which it was originally written. What type of authentic materials can we use? There are different types: printed materials, auditory materials, visual materials, audiovisual materials, and online materials. Let's see some examples here. Printed materials. We can use newspapers, magazines, flyers, books, restaurant menus, recipes, manuals, food labels, TV guides, comics. Auditory material, radio news, songs, phone messages, podcasts. Visual materials, posters, street signs, postcards. Audiovisual materials, films, commercial advertisement, documentaries, music video clips, television programs, and video tutorials. And online materials, we can use websites, blogs, social networking sites, games, etc. So we're using a material which are designed for native speakers and not prepared for pedagogic purposes. Factors in choosing authentic materials. And the first factor we need to consider is sustainability of content. There are some questions to consider this aspect. Does the text interest the student? Is it relevant to the student's needs? Does it represent the type of material that the student will use outside the classroom? Exploitability. Can the text be exploited for teaching purposes? For what purpose should the text be exploited? What skills or strategies can be developed by exploiting the text? And the third factor is readability. Is the text too easy or too difficult for the student? Is it structurally too demanding or complex? How much new vocabulary does it contain? Is it relevant? And the last factor is presentation. Does it look authentic? Is it attractive? Does it grab the student's attention? Does it make him or her want to read more? Here are some samples of authentic materials. Printed materials. We have magazine articles, restaurant menus. Maybe your students are learning food related to, or vocabulary related to food and drink. You can have the students look at this type of menu. Auditory samples. Songs. Songs are very popular with teenagers. Let's see an example. Here's a song by Bruno Mars, and the song is When I Was Your Man, level pre-intermediate, and the language focus regrets using the structure should have. Yeah, okay. And here's the lyric. Just listen for a little bit. Our song on the radio, but it don't sound the same. When our friends talk about you, all it does is just tear me down. 'Cause my heart breaks a little when I hear your name. It all just sounds like too young, too dumb to realize that I should have bought you flowers. Okay, so this is just an example. You see, students can learn how to use or how to express regret using the structure should have. There's another example of a song, and this song is by the group Tawan. The song DISCO, level beginner, and the language focus, the alphabet, and adjectives for personality. Look at the lyrics. Let's listen. Okay, as you can see, songs were not prepared to teach English, but we use them as resources to help our students learn the language. Yes, so these are samples of authentic materials. Now we have other examples: visual, street signs, leaflets, and posters. These were designed for native people, native speakers, but we can use these resources to teach English. Now, audiovisual. We can use film clips, documentaries, and advertisements. You can click on the button on the handout, and this will take you to the websites where the videos are located. And let's see a sample. Let's see this advertisement. Check the first part only. Just the first part.
I'm Paul.
I'm Lauren. We are married.
And today's our 5th wedding anniversary.
This is for you.
Oh, honey, thank you.
You're welcome.
I've got the perfect gift.
Okay. As you can see, the first part is just for real beginners. Students who are starting learning the language can use this part. Yes, and these are samples of authentic materials through advertisements. We can also use online resources like internet memes. You can look at the first one. It says, "One child, one teacher, one book, one pen can change the world." And the other picture, it says, "What is your opinion on the shortage of food in the rest of the world?" The guy from Africa said, "What is food?" And the guy from Europe says, "What is shortage?" And the person from America said, "What is the rest of the world?" And the other guy says, "What is opinion?" You see? So these resources were prepared for entertainment probably, but we can use them as resources to teach English. Where can you find authentic materials? There are different websites. One of them is the internet, of course. You can take resources from television, DVDs, and CDs, books, magazines, and newspapers as well. Internet, you can use video streaming sites like YouTube and other websites. Social networking sites, we can use Facebook as a teaching resource as well. Blogs, forums, web pages. Are there any examples of internet websites? Yes. This is one of the best, I guess, in my opinion. You can find a lot of articles related to young people, health, culture, different topics. If people are interested in reading the news, they can use that website. Or maybe documentaries, National Geographic site, or the news, CNN. There's another website. And this is good, lyric training, especially people who are interested in learning English through songs, through music, and any others. Now, let's see an example. Lesson plan sample, authentic materials. We're going to use the National Geographic documentary, which is entitled "The Valley, Festival of Lights." This is the source. And of course, we're not going to play the video now, but we're going to look at the lesson plan. The topic is the Valley Festival of Lights. And here's the lesson plan. Lesson topic, the Valley Festival of Lights, level intermediate. Skills, listening for gist and specific information. Language focus, phrasal verbs, resources, multimedia projector, laptop speakers, and handouts. And here are the phases of the lesson. Before watching, while watching, after watching. For the first phase, before watching, these are the suggested learning activities. First, students look at the picture and discuss the question with a partner. There are 3 questions. What is this? Where is it located? What do people celebrate in that country? Then students label the pictures with words from the chart because they're supposed to learn the prior knowledge, I mean the words that are necessary to learn before they watch the video. And they complete sentences with a new vocabulary. They compare their answers with a partner and with the whole class. And then when they are watching, they do this. They check their answers with the information presented in the video documentary. They watch the video clip again to complete the chart with key information. Yeah. First column, celebration, where, when, what people wear, what people eat, what other activities people can do. And the other activity is work in pairs to compare answers. Then they receive feedback from the teacher. And after watching, they complete the summary of the video with appropriate words and phrases. They watch the documentary and read the subtitles in order to correct the grammar, correct the paragraph. Read the script of the video and underline new phrases to check meaning and pronunciation. So you can use this sample lesson plan. So here I'm presenting this template. You can choose the lesson topic, level, skills, language focus, and resources. And what are you going to include in each phase? Before watching, do not forget you should introduce the topic. You should activate existing schemata. You should introduce the key vocabulary. Show 1 or 2 guiding questions. Then when they are watching, we should let our students read the text silently or listen or watch twice. Encourage them to use skimming and scanning. Encourage students to check their guesses. We should include specific and clear activities while they are reading, listening, or watching. And after watching, in the after watching phase, we can grade a task to check comprehension, plan interesting activities according to the student's level and age, encourage learners to identify key phrases and chunks of language, promote pair work or group discussion before receiving feedback, and building an excellent rapport with the students. Okay, so you can use this as a template for planning your lesson. Now, what are the conclusions of this presentation? The first conclusion is that using authentic materials exposes learners to the rich language inputs and enables them to communicate with the outside world. Therefore, they will be able to cope with genuine interaction in real life situations. Authentic materials bring learners closer to the target language because they give authentic cultural information. The third conclusion, regular classroom instruction with a course book should be accompanied by using authentic materials since the very beginning. Authentic materials can be used at lower levels only if they are carefully chosen according to the student's abilities and if necessary pedagogical support is given. We should select materials with topics that are appealing to students and where culture content is also included. And tasks should be graded considering the student's age and level. Okay, to finish this presentation, we can say that using authentic materials will make students feel that they are learning the real language, and this will make them learning. This will make the learning process more enjoyable and motivating. Okay, thank you. Now, I would like to know if you have some questions.
Yeah, we had a couple questions came in. So one was from Marcella, and she wanted to know if you have any suggestions for using authentic materials with absolute beginners.
Yeah, as I was explaining in one of the slides, we should select, we should prepare, we should select materials that are according to the student's level. For example, for very beginning, the song that I use and the disco is for real beginners because they introduce the alphabet and the adjectives. So there are a lot of resources, but we need time to select which authentic materials can be used with our students depending on their level. Or maybe we can take just one part of a video clip, as I show you, and in the TV commercial. Yes, the video is about 4 minutes long, but we are going to use just the first part because it introduces, hello, hi, how are you? This is very basic language. And this can be used for real beginners.
Okay. And again, with the questions, you can type them in right in the part of your handout that says questions or chat, and we'll get it. We have another one from Maria Vera, who wants to know where you can get authentic materials for specific topics like business, for example.
I included some sites in the slide, for example. Let me see. Okay. Mainly, you will find a lot of resources online from internet, different websites. For example, this website, BBC, includes a lot of information about different fields, life, health, news, culture, any topics. And authentic materials can also be found on YouTube. In YouTube, there are a lot of videos related to the topic we need. The idea is that we use, as we have learned, we use the materials in the same way they were originally prepared, and we use them to teach English.
Okay. Ricardo had another question on advice for public school teachers who have a set curriculum that they follow, and if you have any advice on how to incorporate authentic materials into, I guess, teachers who use textbooks.
Yeah, for example, I've seen that in many textbooks there are topics, there are suggested topics, for example, imperatives, following rules. Instead of presenting all the topics in the books, we can find extra materials. For example, these street signs, turn left, turn right. Yes, those can be used as authentic materials. Or for example, when they are learning vocabulary related to food and drink, why don't we bring, for example, a menu, a restaurant menu, or maybe a recipe? So you see, they can see something that is taken from the real world and they use it to learn English.
Okay, and we have a comment from Edison that just expands on that, of menus being used for beginners for numbers, ingredients, short descriptions, and also brochures for places, nationalities, or the structure there be.
Yeah, okay. Internet, there's a lot of information, and I guess teachers need a lot of time to prepare. Yes, I mean to select the materials. This is an issue. Yeah, time consuming, but we need to do, because as I explained, it is not a bad idea to learn English using a textbook, a course book. That's okay. But according to the explanation I have given today, is that we should accompany that course using authentic materials, because our students will be exposed to the real language, which is really good. Because when they're going to use the language, they're going to use the language outside, not only in the classroom. So it is a good idea for them to be exposed to the real language.
Okay, and Elba had a question on if you suggest using newspaper or magazines for teaching reading.
Yeah, yes, of course, but we can choose, for example, if you have a newspaper article, depending on the student level, you can select just one paragraph or maybe just the headline. You can have the students read the headline and predict what the article is about. And also, everything depends on the type of task. For example, what is the real use of reading a newspaper article? To get information, to know what's happening in the world. So we can have the students read newspaper articles just to get information about what's happening in the country. So we are not asking the students to read text to translate. So we should select a type of task that goes according to the student's level. If the students are beginners, so the task must be simple, like, I don't know, probably putting the paragraphs in the right order, or choosing similar words that have the same meaning, or maybe putting the pictures in the correct order according to the article. So if my students are beginners, the task must be according to their level.
Okay, and Isidora had a question on materials that you recommend for teaching writing.
On internet, I have found different websites, for example, where people forums. There's always, for example, a message. One of the administrators writes a question, and the people have to comment. We can train our students to get on that website and write a reply. They can write a comment replying the original message. Or maybe we can use emails. Yes, imagine that you are applying to a job and you want to write an email applying for that job position. So we can find different ways, and we should help the students, of course. So we are not going to ask the students, okay, this is the email, write an email. We must help step by step.
Okay, and Jeff had a question regarding the news sources, on what kinds of questions or support you would give students to aid in their comprehension.
There are three phases, as you have seen: the pre-reading or pre-watching, while watching, and after watching. It means that before having the students be exposed to the authentic materials, they must be ready to watch or to read the article. It means we have to prepare our students with the key vocabulary, with some prior knowledge of the topic. So in that way, they will be able to understand or to understand the text. Otherwise, they will be lost. As we have seen, if we don't prepare our students very well, the students will feel frustrated because he or she won't understand anything. We must prepare our students before having them read an authentic material.
Okay, and then another question we have is, what types of authentic materials do you suggest using when working with young kids, particularly ages 7 to 9?
Sons, you can use, there are some free resources like online games. There are online games which are free. And sons, probably cartoons. We can select cartoons kids love. So we can take advantages of different resources like songs, video games, or even social networking sites as well.
Okay, and any suggestions for lesson planning that takes learning styles into consideration?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. When it comes to learning different learning styles, okay, for example, if we're teaching a topic based on a song, we can have one student who likes writing. We can have that kid write or change the ending of the story of the song, while the other student, for example, likes singing, we can have the kid perform live. We can use different activities based on the student's interests. If they like reading, okay, the student will read. If they like acting, for example, this is the song, okay, you read the lyrics, okay, you understood the song. Now, can you act it out? Can you act the song out? So you see, we are trying to satisfy each learner's learning style.
Okay. I think that's about all we have time for this webinar. So thank you, Roger. It was very interesting. And thank you to everyone for your questions and your comments. All right. So we hope that you can join us next time. We hope you enjoyed the presentation. And our next webinar will be from an English language fellow who's in La Paz, Mexico. The topic will be grammar goof-ups, fix them once and for all. That will be on Wednesday, March 15th from 3 to 4 p.m. That is Peru time. You can connect with us again if you have any questions or if you had any problems downloading the material and you'd like it. You can contact us at reloandes@state.gov, or there is my contact information in the registration email, the confirmation email that you received from registering for the webinar. So you can contact us either of those two ways. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter. All of the webinars are recorded. So if you would like to watch it again, if you'd like to rewind it or share it with someone else, you can go onto YouTube and just search RELO Andes webinars, and all of this webinar and all of our past webinars will come up, so you can check them out there. So thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you next month on March 15th. Thank you.